How to work on yourself if you're a visionary type person. Hey, I'm Donnie, the CEO of Success Champion Networking and best-selling author. This is Growth Mode, where we teach how to get to business freedom through sales advice, working on yourself, and up-leveling your network. As always, I'm joined by Kevin Snow, the tactician of sales automation, and hang out as we dive into how do you really work on yourself if you're that visionary type person. Holy hell, Kevin, if they knew how many times I had to try and get through that today, geez, that was fucking horrible. My goodness. We were going to do this all as one episode, but we decided to break it down into two episodes. One focused on the visionary, then we're going to come back around and focus on Kevin on the integrator side and really dive into that world a lot. So, for me, my dad handed me a book, Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude, when I was around 14 years old. And I was getting into a lot of trouble and doing a lot of stupid things. And he was trying to find an answer, and that book had done a lot for him. But, me being a punk-ass kid, I damn sure didn't read anything about that book. I think I tried to read it and just threw it to the side because there's just no way I was getting into it. And it was 22, 23 years old before I finally gave that book a shot. And at that point in my life, I was struggling in sales, trying to figure out how to sell better and looking for answers. And I just happened to find that book in a box somewhere, and I started reading it. And, I don't want to say that book did a whole lot for me, not the reward my old man got out of it, but I will say that it's the thing that got me into kind of the self-help world, working on yourself and learning more about who you are as a person. Here's the thing for me. I probably spent from age 22, 23 to age 40 devouring everything I could get my hands on, from self-help, personal development, going to workshops, conferences. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, and we just talked about this, this year at the Badass Business Summit, or last year at the Badass Business Summit, that I spent most of that freaking time unintentionally looking for a silver bullet. I really wanted there to be like this thing that all of a sudden I would be fixed, I guess. And there would be this solution or answer to figuring out what made me actually go. And the funny thing that I discovered was, after launching the business, is all those things I was trying to do and read, all those things I was trying to, talk to myself happy thoughts, set goals, do all this crap that I was trying to do, was the exact thing that was keeping me from actually figuring out who the fuck I was. And it's interesting because as I was doing all that stuff, I wasn't doing the things that would get me there. And the absolute things that got me there, getting punched in the fucking face. It took me personally, to damn near lose everything and, screwing up building a business, to finally realize that, all right, I got to get in the game and really get after it. So we're going to focus in that arena, talking about how you can get punched in the face and the different things you can do. And, tell you that if you aren't manufacturing hard moments in your life, I don't give a shit who you are. If you're not doing the hard things, then you're going to find it really, really difficult to level up your game. So, Kevin, how do you want to go this round?
Well, we're kind of talking about you this time. So I'm curious, as I was listening to you go through that, what was popping to my head is, do you think you are similar to how other visionaries are?
Oh, that's a great question. I think I am now, but I wasn't before. What I mean by that is now that I understand putting in the work, screwing things up and doing the hard things are really the things that push me forward. Yeah, I think I'm a lot like him because I'm putting myself in a lot more situations to get uncomfortable. But I'll tell you, up to growing up, and into corporate America, absolutely not. I think now I've found that top performer ability. You see the best and the best in sports and the best and the best in different things. I think I have that now. And I can tell you I didn't have that any other time in my life because um, I was finding ways to avoid the learning. I was finding ways to like, you read a self-help book, and for me, I got a bad habit. I read a book and that becomes the next greatest thing since sliced damn bread. But for me, reading those books felt like I was completing the task. So I wouldn't go do the things that would allow me to level up. And so I was almost tricking myself. But now for sure, I'm on it. And um, it's wild to be, when I say working at the pace that I'm working at, I don't want people to think that I'm grinding it to the fucking grindstone, but I'm putting in the time and doing the things that absolutely need to get done. So that's been one hell of an evolution. And it's been a lot of fun getting to here. But I think most visionaries are going for it nonstop. And I think that they traditionally don't know how to turn it off once again. And that's one of the big things that pushes them to crazy ass levels and doing silly things and driving people nuts.
How then do you, if the standard visionary is a hard driver trying to get to that next big milestone and on the way to their grand vision, how did you figure out to make time to actually work on yourself, and how did you figure out what you actually need to work on?
Yeah, that was a complete accident for me. Because I remember I thought I was working on myself my entire time. I thought my entire time that I was doing the things. And it wasn't until I, stood on the back porch and told Elizabeth that we were about to lose everything and I'd fucked up bad enough that I realized something had to change. So I started doing the things that I wasn't proud of. And here's what I mean. So, and forgive me as I think through that, because I really want to try and explain it so people can wrap their damn heads around it. But I remember looking in the mirror and I tried to say the words. I heard somebody say, look in the mirror and say, I love you. And it just felt weird saying, I love you. Right. So I switched it and said, I'm proud of you. And I realized when I said I was proud of you, I didn't believe those words. And I started asking myself, well, why the hell am I not proud of me? What is it? And instantly it said, because first thought popped in my head is because you're not doing the reach outs. You're not doing the business development stuff. And so I said, okay, if that's the thing, then that's what I need to go work on. So I started going doing the business development stuff. And it was awkward, right? I don't like reaching out. I can cold call, but I don't like doing the reach outs and stuff. So I started doing the reach outs, whether it was on LinkedIn. I started, doing reach outs to get on podcast. I started showing up more, and it was doing those things that I didn't want to do that I knew that would move my business forward really became that thing to push me to the next level, because now I find myself in a bunch of conversations, and my conversations early on sucked because I was such a bully, if you will. I really wanted to fucking almost beat the information into people. That wasn't working. So I had to learn how to better tell my story. I had to learn how to ask better questions and provide a hell of a lot more value. And now almost all my conversations are very, very similar in nature. So it's a lot better every time I sit across from somebody. And usually, when I sit across from somebody and have all these conversations, they'll put a post out and say, "Oh my God, I sat across from Donnie, and it's everything I expected it to be." And that comes from me dropping my ego, not making it about how awesome I am, and really pouring into them. So it every time I go to the mirror and I say the words "I'm proud of you," whatever pops up that isn't a thing for me, like I wasn't spending enough time with Elizabeth, right? It was one thing that popped up, so I had to go fix that. I wasn't proud of my weight and how I looked, so I had to go work on that. And every time that I said, "I'm proud of you," if I can't really feel that, like the end of the summit, dude, I was fucking proud, right? We crushed that fucking thing, and it was just amazing and awesome, But since the summit, now there's things that I know have fallen through the cracks, and I'm not doing better. Like telling you, I've got to start using the CRM to keep up with shit, and that came from fucking saying I'm proud of you, and I wasn't because there was something that I wasn't doing that I needed to be doing, and so that's my biggest trigger right now is to get to there and work through whatever pops up in my damn head.
So how do you then work on those things? What, is it just you go do it, or how?
I start off first.
What does
Yeah,
that look like?
yeah. I start off first going, why am I not doing it? What is it about it that I'm not proud of? So, well, just fucking, well, you should lose Elizabeth. I don't mind. One thing, I wasn't doing that I didn't like is I was sitting on my phone responding on social media versus talking to her. And where, I found myself a couple of times not listening to her stories as she was talking to me. So I'm like, you got to stay there. You got to stay in the game. And part of the problem is I'm loving what I'm doing so damn much that I want to keep doing this. Like yesterday, after I got done mowing the farm, all I wanted to do was come up here and start working again, and I kept myself out of here. So I didn't do that. I have to ask myself first, why is that thing not making me proud? And then I have to ask myself, okay, how do you fix it? What's the thing? So, it'll take even, doing this CRM and not keeping up with it. I'm not proud of it because shit's falling through the cracks and we're losing, conversations with people. And that's a reflection not only of me, but of our brand as a whole. And I can't have that happen. So, I've got to get the things in place to do it. And the way to do it is I'm going to have to set a fucking trap for myself that, gets me to fill this out. So I haven't figured out what that trap is yet, but stand by. It's going to be something to get it done.
So you have this, I don't know if I want to use the term annoying. You have this ability to read something, or you listen to something and walk away with this huge aha moment within your life.
Yep.
Or something that's going on with you. Have you always been like that, or is that something you learned as you've been going through and getting more intentional with how you've been working on yourself?
I think that's learned exactly as you just said that, as I continue to work on myself, because I used to be, when I used to listen or read everything, it became like this all consuming thing. And now, because I'm so focused at this moment of time of where the company's going and what we're doing with that and where we're pushing things, that I'm almost listening with the intent to understand what needs to happen. Because since I've had such a personal mental breakthrough on leveling myself up, Now, I don't want to give myself all the credit here. Mandy Morris has been fucking amazing, right? I should give her kudos. And if you don't have a fucking therapist in your life, you're playing the goddamn game wrong. But um, now that I'm so focused on the trajectory, and I know where this company's going, I know what we're doing and how we're building, and I see the long play, and it's realistic that we're going to get there. More of the things I'm consuming are helping me align that, but they're also helping me explain what I've gone through and why I've been able to adapt some of the things that I've been able to adapt. And that's been pretty cool. I mean, that's how we rolled out the Champions 90 was because of these focus moments. And um, I think because I have real questions that I know I can't articulate what the question is, but I know I'm looking for certain answers, and I'm finding these bits and pieces in just one phrase, one segment, of a TV show, of a podcast, whatever. And it's been really cool, but I think it comes from being so hyper focused. Um, why is that annoying?
Well, that'll be the next episode on why that became annoying for me, and it's I don't know if annoying is quite the right word, but it is really cool, and I have to say this for everyone, it is really cool when Donnie will call me or message me. It's like, oh my god, I just figured this thing out, and it's really cool, and it's fun being able to hear because you're literally can hear the excitement in your voice when you have these aha moments. It's really cool. So annoying isn't the right word, but it's not everyone does that, and it's I don't know very many people. Maybe I know more that do it than I think. They just don't tell people that they're having the breakthroughs. But I think that piece is really a big part of it for you, is being able to actually share that aha moment. Whether it's with me or if you're sharing it with the Success Champion Network, our community. I think that's a big part of it, and what keeps driving you keeps driving you forward with doing it more.
Well, and I don't want to add, I agree with that. And thank you. I continue to understand that the more being who I am and carrying myself who I am, people from time to time get this mental image of me. Like there's people that think that I'm always this intense, just hardcore guy, right? There's people that see me as like this sales guy who can never fail type thing. I hear all these funny things, and on one hand, I think it's cool that people see me that way, but I'm finding more and more that if I share the real head trash shit that I went through, the struggles I have, people really lean in, because I think when a guy like me, says I struggled with prospecting because I was too worried about what people would think of me in those type of things, people really, really are, I don't want to say blown away, but I think they're surprised that I would admit that shit out there. And it's becoming my biggest, purpose is to figure out the right areas of vulnerability that and the words that say it in a way that people can wrap their head around, because I reflect back on all the self-help stuff I, listened to, and a lot of it I couldn't wrap my fucking head around, because it was, and I understand where you come from sometimes when, and some of the reasons why you don't like the motivational mumbo jumbo, because, and I'm learning this more and more, is it'll get you hyped up, but it doesn't tell you the how to. And so I'm really often trying to say, how the fuck would I say this to get through to me? Right? How would I say this that when I was struggling with all this stuff, how would I say it in a way that I would actually understand it. And so everything that I'm writing and putting out there is focused on what are the right words that somebody else will wrap their fucking head around. And um, there's some days I think I hit it really well, and then there's, like even like with the Champions 90, watching the content and the things people are writing is fucking amazing. But I also see some of the people that the way they're writing it wasn't necessarily what I had in my head as I thought that I was articulating, but I'm not going to change it because I love the fact that they're actually doing it, right? So but it's one of those things that I've got to continue to think about the words, and I think the abilities, the ahas, and all that are stemming a lot how do I say it so they'll wrap their head around it. And the and you've seen this. My biggest struggle of what I do as this kind of visionary type person is always try and go bigger and not stay focused on the same fucking thing. It's shit. You should, if I would have sent you half the messages I was going to send you over the weekend, you would have been like, here we go. I was revamping the fucking magazine. I was getting I mean, I had so many things. I'm like, this is how we're going to do this. This is how we're going to do this. And I was like, all right, fucker, slow down. Can we get this company, Success Champions Network, and can we get it somewhere bigger, crazier, louder? I mean, it's growing rapidly. And, I'm like, can we get the reins on this fucking thing? And that's my problem, is my mind doesn't shut off long enough to get focused in here. But that's why we got to have these integrator people like you around to fucking slow us down.
Well, we do that to each other all the time, though. We'll be talking. It's like, oh, and we can do this and that, and then the other one has to say, "Whoa, slow down."
Yeah.
But pull on the reins.
Hey, we were good the other day, though. I mean, when our online program rolled out that we could do courses, instead of either one of us going, "Hey, let's do this," we both kind of slid it to the side. We're like, we're not ready yet, right?
Yeah, we're like, ooh, sweet. We'll hold that for future. But no, we do that. And it's, a lot of times it's with the summit, and I do it a lot. That's one, for some reason, that's one I always do, the really big grandiose.
You do too, man. This motherfucker, he's like, we'll do 3D fucking letters on the stage, and we're gonna do.
I still want those.
Jesus.
So, but and it's cool because we both understand where. We're both situationally aware enough to know where we're at in the development of our company, where we're able to actually tell the other ones, like, hold on, yes, we're going to do that, but not today. And it's never, and it's cool because we never tell each other no outright.
For sure.
It's usually, it's like, yeah.
We might tell each other it's a fucking dumb idea. I mean, that happens.
That happens occasionally. But normally it's like, yeah, I want to do that too, but not today. We need to do that. We need to do these things first so we can do that. So do you have a line?
What do you mean, do I have a line?
So you were talking about figuring out where to be vulnerable with people.
Oh yeah, I definitely have a line.
Where is your line?
The best way I can explain it is nobody gives a shit what you had for breakfast. So for me, everybody's heard me, or if you've heard me, I mean, we're acting like we're the biggest show on the fucking planet. Not yet, we're getting there. But if you've heard me speak and I've talked about Elizabeth, it's only ever going to be in regards to how we're leveling up, or where she said some key moments of time. You won't hear the conversations that happen once the front door closes. With my family, same kind of thing. That's a good way to describe it, is once the gate on the farm closes, that's as far as you're going to hear the stories. But for me, it's as long as there's a business angle, because I've said some crazy shit on stages and everything. Even at the last summit, I said some funny shit that people have come up and laughed at. And Stories about me, I'll share damn near anything. So I think my line is going to be when other people are involved. I mean, if that's going to be the line, um, because I don't want to impact somebody else's life. I'm willing to put myself out there, but they didn't ask to put themselves out there, so I can't put them in that spot. So I can tell you one of my favorite things about you, and we'll dive in more on the other shows when we flip it. Is you've learned how to talk to me better than most people have. And Keith's been really good about doing this as well, but he's known me for years, so I expect him to understand. You've learned to do this, which is cool, but you will slow down and really think about the words you're going to use when trying to either introduce me a new idea or um, explain something to me. And I just think, you know, I'll speak for myself and not all visionaries. I can be a pretty much a hothead pretty quick. And so it's really cool to watch you calculate the word. I don't know, but think about what you're fixing to say before you say something to me and introduce an idea or a concept. So I mean, you've got a really talent for it, and you know, uh, I think Keith's having fun telling others how they should talk to me, so they're planned on their words before they get to me. Um, and so I think a lot of people struggle with visionaries, and the main reason is most of us are blunt, most of us are direct, and we think everybody else is the same way.
So I actually have two questions as we come to the end of the show. And this first one probably I should have asked first.
Oh,
How is a visionary different from a high D? Most people have an understanding of DISC, what a
yep.
DISC is. They know you're a D. They know I'm a C. How is a visionary different?
So I think because like Elon Musk, he's a visionary. He is not a high D, right? Visionary for me is somebody who is able to visualize something and then do whatever it takes to get it done. And I think that's a great definition of a visionary. A high D is just a personality trait, right? Just because somebody's a high D doesn't mean they're a visionary. I think you could look at and make the argument. Look at somebody like Robin Williams, comedian. He was a high I, but yet one tremendous visionary with the ability to create all those characters and the likes. Mother Teresa, she was an S and was very much able to be a massive visionary that made a huge impact on the world. So I think it's somebody that can truly visualize what the future looks like and how they're going to impact or change that future, and then does whatever it takes to get it done. Otherwise, the disc personalities are just personalities to define how somebody interacts with others.
Cool. So then the final question, I think this is a really good way to end this show, talking about working on yourself as a visionary. If someone's not spending a lot of time actually figuring out, where they need to work on themselves and putting the work in to improve themselves, how do they start?
Head to the mirror. Head to the mirror. I mean, um, I think a lot of people are looking for the answers in the outside world. So they're reading books, they're going to conferences, they're listening to podcasts, they're doing all this stuff trying to work on themselves when the answer's staring them right in the mirror. So go to the mirror. And the one thing I don't know about this, and Kevin, this is something you and I should explore, is does this work on an integrator type person? Does this work on a person who's really calculated and thinking, like these high C personalities? Does going to the mirror work? I'm really curious about that. But for most people, I can tell you, go in the mirror, say I'm proud of you, and that first thing that pops up, that's what you got to work on, because it's that's the thing you got to improve. So if you go to the mirror and you're not proud, because for me at least, it gets very specific. If I say it, then it's like I'm not doing the reach outs, or I'm not treating Elizabeth well, or I'm pushing Kevin too hard in the wrong direction. Those type of things. Then that's when you got to go. Okay, why am I doing that? Why am I acting that way? How do I improve and make it better? And you basically had to come up with your own game plan to move forward. And that's what I've done to this point. And it's working really, really well, because I can tell you this last couple of years, I mean, Kevin and I have been working together for 4 years now, I think, but
Yep.
these last couple of years have been one hell of an evolution. So this has been awesome, guys. Thanks for the questions, Kevin. We're going to flip the script, and next episode, we're going to dive into Kevin and talk about what it's like working with an integrator, and how he's been able to do the things he's done. And I think it's going to be a hell of an episode. So if you got any tips, tricks, any value out of this, please make sure you're subscribed to the show. Leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts, and share this out with one person who would find value from everything we're sharing here. As always, love you, mean it. See you, bye.